Dr. Raymond Quattro at Health First Community Health Center is board certified in weight loss medicine and has successfully guided many patients through both successful weight loss as well as showing them how to keep the weight off for good. He has extensive experience in the use of all new weight loss medications, and he is well versed in the science behind a successful weight loss program. Call our Arlington office at 270-905-4084 to schedule a consultation. At Health First Community Health Center, your health is our first concern.
1580 103.3 WPKY. Welcome back to Coffee Talk. We're going to do a little car talk here on Coffee Talk. It's 13 right now, 8:32. And before we get to our next guest, I do want to congratulate Bill Hobby. He is this month's Hometown Hero, sponsored by Princeton Drug Store. If you want some more information on Hometown Hero, visit WPKYonline.com. or call Princeton Drug Store at 270-365-5585. All right, we're joined in the studio by Glen Young. He's from Kilgore Automotive, and we're going to talk about car care today. Good morning, Glen.
Good morning, Misty. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Oh, you sound good on the microphone. All right, let me get that adjusted there. So, you know, it's cold. Sometimes we get in our cars and they don't want to crank. What have we done?
Well, when it's cold like this and the weather like that, and battery, usually when it don't want to crank over, extreme cold weather is hard on a battery. If you get about an average about 5 years out of that is good. Typically, sometimes they can go a little longer than that, but about every 5 years you need to replace your battery. Well, have it checked out and see what the problem is. Could be a charging system, could be a numerous of things why I don't want to start early in the morning when it's cold like this.
Yeah, early in the morning, and that's, when we're like rushing out the door, we're already late anyway, get in the car and it just won't crank. And I'm like, dang it. Fortunately, I haven't had to deal with that. I did have to deal with that with my truck once, and that's, my fun vehicle. So that's
right.
where I haul my horses, and it wouldn't crank, and it just made me mad because I couldn't go have fun. But yeah. So a lot of times it's the battery. Now, is there any truth to the fact that we're supposed to start our vehicles like the ones that sit, like my truck?
Well, the longer you let the vehicle sit, naturally the battery is going to drain off because it's not being run every day. And to charge the battery on the vehicle, it's done by the alternator. So when the vehicle sits for, like, say, 2-3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, however long it may sit, the battery naturally has a tendency to go down. So sometimes you have to put a charge on it, start it up, let it run. If you don't drive that vehicle on a daily basis, just get out there maybe once a week, let it run for 15, 20 minutes and shut it off, or even drive it around. The longer a vehicle sits, it's not really good on the motor or anything like that. So.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So why is that? What does it do to the motor?
The reason being, if you think about it, all the oil is, like I said, it's sitting there at the bottom of your oil pan, not being started up in the motor, letting things lubricate like the cylinder walls and stuff like that. So on average, like I said, get out there, start it, let it run 15, 20 minutes, drive it. It doesn't hurt to drive the vehicle because the longer it sits, like I said, things start to deteriorate. Just like anything sitting in storage for a long time, over a period of time, it's going to start breaking down. And same thing with your vehicle. It needs to be driven on either once a day or maybe once a week or something like that. If it's just for short miles, that's perfectly fine, but something just to kind of lubricate the valves, the cylinder walls and stuff like that.
So I'm not going to share the just for a short time information with my husband, but I'm going to go home and tell him, okay, now I have to drive the truck to work, which is, 60 miles one way. I have to drive my truck to work because Glen Young told me that if I just let it sit here, it's going to deteriorate. So,
Well, that's an excuse to drive the truck.
That's what I'm saying, as opposed to my Prius, which gets great gas
like I said,
mileage.
when you ask your husband for that, make sure you get the gas card go along with it too, or the credit card.
Right. Well, that's why he doesn't want me to drive it, because it eats gas. So that's why I drive the Prius instead.
I understand that.
But I'm going to tell him that you told me I had to drive the truck.
Okay, that'll work then.
All right. So what are some common reasons that we have, other problems with our vehicles? What are some of the common things you see?
Well, a common reason is service the vehicle. We recommend every 3,000 miles to service your vehicle, change the oil in it. Now, I know some people like to kind of go over the 3,000 mile mark, but when you start to do that, things starts to happen. We have literally seen some vehicles, when we drain the oil out of it, looks like string cheese coming out of, due to the fact where they don't keep it serviced and they wonder why their vehicle is not running properly. If you think about what oil is more like the arteries in your, the blood in your body. And that's kind of the vital part of your car is keep clean oil. It makes your vehicle run better and everything else.
So you said every 3,000 miles. There's a rumor then, I guess, that the synthetic oil or the...
Well, with synthetic oil, sometimes they can recommend to go up to 5,000. But a general rule of thumb, if you change it every 3,000 miles, you can get the max life out of your vehicle on an average. Now, that's not saying that you couldn't drive around the block or something majorly couldn't go wrong, because anything's possible. But we usually recommend, even with the synthetic oils, even from about 3,000 miles is a general rule of thumb to keep the oil change in your vehicle.
Okay.
And I know they make you see them advertised on television, radio ads, and stuff like that, where you can go buy oil can go a year long. I would not recommend that at all. Everything I said, about every 3,000 miles, even from 3,000 to 5,000 miles, it's a general rule of thumb is to change the motor oil in your vehicle.
Huh. Now, I don't think I've heard anything advertise a year. They must be talking about people who don't have to go very far.
Well, I've seen where they go up to 10,000 miles and stuff like that. I think, I forgot what brand of oil companies out there now that they advertise that, where it has a little race car driver pops up, and he said you can go once a year. Highly recommend every 3,000 to 5,000 miles is a general rule of thumb to just change the oil in your vehicle.
Okay. And what other kinds of things do we need to do to keep our car serviced?
Well, the thing, I just speak for example what we do down our shop down there. When we pull one in, we'll check it from the front to the back. If it's something we'll look at the tires, check the air pressure, make sure they're properly inflated. We check everything underneath the hood. If it needs something, we'll let you know. We'll look at the brakes. Like I said, if you need brakes put on it, then we recommend on what needs to be done to your vehicle.
So I usually know I need brakes because I hear squealing.
And that's it. Well, most of your brakes out there, they do have a little warning pad on them. So when you start to hear that bird chirping or that squealing sound, time to get them checked out and see what the problem actually is.
I think the problem for some of us is, we even hear squealing when it's raining, when they get wet.
Right.
So, we tend to go, well, is it the rain or do I really need brakes? Is it really time to spend that money?
And one way to find out if you really need brakes or not, once it does stop raining or you go through a wet spot, sometimes you will get water onto your brake pads, and sometimes on your road it will cause a squeaking sound. But once it dries out, once you drive the vehicle, the brakes will heat up just a little bit and the squeaking goes away. So that's usually just due to the water. But if you hear a constant squealing all the time when you put your foot on the pedal, then it's time to get them checked out. We have seen them where people just really ignore it and crank up the radio just a little louder in their vehicle or talk on their cell phone, not really paying much attention. And by the time we get them down to the shop, then they wonder why it costs a little bit more to fix your brakes because they've done a little bit more damage. Where you could just replace your brake pads, save yourself a little money, but when it starts turning into your rotor, then it gets into a little bit more expensive. So,
and I can honestly say I've only done that once.
Well, I can vouch for that. We get them all the time where people just don't pay attention, and with the soundproof of vehicles these days, sometimes you just don't really pay attention until something happens. You put your foot on the brake, and the next thing you know, they almost go to the floor. It's like, okay, now we have a problem. So
probably time to get the brakes checked. Huh?
Absolutely.
How regularly should we have that checked?
Usually, I would say about every other oil change and stuff like that. It depends on what type of driving habits you got. I have noticed some people they keep one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas at all times. So if you think about in that aspect of it, just like remember, a check in your bank account. If you write a lot of checks out quickly, your bank account is going to deteriorate down. And same thing with your brakes. If you ride your foot on the brake all the time, then the pad's going to wear faster, and it's going to not take near as long to have it in place again.
Sure. Okay. And do brakes wear out? I mean, do they dry rot or anything?
No, brakes usually don't dry rot or anything. The reason your brake pads wear out is due to every time you apply your brake pedal, the friction on the brake pedal, the brakes itself, it's going to wear down over a period of time. You can go a couple of years, with that, or you can go, depending, like I said, on your driving habits again. Now, if you have real busy city driving, which around here we don't have that near to worry about that much. But if you got a lot of stop and go driving, then naturally your brakes are going to wear a little faster than you would on like rural settings like we are here in the city. They can last you a little bit longer.
Yeah, I was just trying to think when the last time was we even changed brakes on any of our vehicles.
Well, like I said, if you start to hear any noises and stuff, just have them check. If they're wore down to where they need replacing, then, naturally just go ahead and replace them, because that's a very vital thing. You want to be able to stop when you put your foot on the pedal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, what else do we need to do regularly?
Or, like I said, always keep your oil change. That's one the most important thing is keep it regularly on that. And like I said, and keep the eyes on your tires and stuff like that. Make sure they're properly inflated at all times. Usually on the average, you're talking about 35 PSI on your tires is the average inflation on your tires. So every time, like I said, for example, when we pull one down our shop and do a service job on one, we always check the tires, make sure they're properly inflated. And if they are wore out, then we recommend where to go to get your tires replaced at.
All right. So tires and oil are the only two things we really need to be checking regularly?
Well, regularly, yes, that's a good thing. And like I said, and that's the most mainly two things, because that's where people just oversight and overlook all the time. And then they wonder, when you pull your dipstick out and you notice there's no oil on a dipstick, and it's like, okay, what's our problem is? So we had to figure out where the oil went to, number one. And if you ain't having no oil in your vehicle, then you're not going to drive far before your motor just finally decides to give up, and then you're broke down and stranded on the side of the road.
And you've got a really big bill coming up.
Absolutely. You've got a really big bill coming up.
If you can even keep the car.
That is true.
Sometimes it's cheaper just to buy a new car, huh?
Well, sometimes.
Than to fix it. Do you have like a particular, and I'm not saying, I'm not asking you to give any specific props to anybody, but is there one model of vehicle that you find is a little bit better than others?
Well,
lasts a little bit longer.
And that's always a myth. You got car people out there who loves one particular brand, no matter what it may be. And now, me personally, I'm more of a Chevrolet type individuals, and there's people out here who lives in death by Fords, by Dodge, Toyotas. Here's the whole thing about it. It's whatever you like to drive. All the vehicles out there, they all have their pros and cons. No matter what make and model that you have, they all have their pros and cons. So if I speak of a Chevrolet, yes, they have their pros, and a lot of times they have their cons as well as about them too. But I'm not going to hark on anybody. Whatever vehicles they drive, it's your own personal preference. So there's really no particular one that's better than the other.
There's not one that you see in the shop more often, less than the other?
No, not really. We usually see on average about all different make and models of vehicles out there. So
okay, all right, that's fair. I'm personally one of those that I'm loyal to the brand that I like.
Well, I understand, and nothing wrong with that. And that's what you like enjoying driving, and
I've just found that this particular model, and I won't mention it, but this particular model of vehicle that I drive, they last. I mean, they do. I was stuck on that one.
They do.
I had one that just.
And like I said, it's all depends on how you take care of your vehicle. And like I said, it makes no difference on make and model of vehicles. It's how well you take care of it. Just think of your home. If you take good care of it, it's going to last you a long time. But if you just let it sit and trash it up all the time, then it's going to deteriorate. Same thing with your vehicle. If you take good care of your vehicle, it's going to take care of you.
Well, I'm going to start taking better care of my truck. I'm going to start driving it more. So I'm going to add that to my list.
Well, that's always a good thing. It's never good for a vehicle just to sit there and not be driven. Even just take it down the road, whatever it may be, but get out and drive your vehicle. But there's so many people out there who will buy new vehicles or buy, like, say, a classic car, for example, and they'll let it sit in their garage and then they wonder why it costs a little bit more money to get it fixed and up and going because it's just sitting there. No vehicle's good to sit. You need to get them out and at least drive them and start them up, even if it's just starting them up and letting them run for a while.
Yeah, well, I'm an overachiever, so I will drive my truck to work tomorrow.
Well, there you go. That's a good thing.
All in an effort to keep it good, keep it in good working condition.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Glen Young-Kilgore Automotive. Anything else you want to tell us about taking care of our cars this winter?
Well, like I say, taking car this winter, make sure, like I say, you have the proper inflation on your tires. That's always a good thing. Like I said, make sure that the oil is serviceable. Make sure it's on if it's dirty, like I say, if you pull your dipstick out and it looks a dark or a real black looking color, then that's a good indication you need to get it changed. And another thing is make sure that you can look into your coolant reservoir underneath your hood. Make sure you have the proper coolant in there. I would not advise if just pure water, because it is cold temperatures and things can freeze and bust. So if you notice that you're not getting any heat coming out of your vents, then you have to figure out what the problem is.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you so much, Glenn, for coming in this morning and letting us know we need to start driving our trucks.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Misty.
All righty. Glen Young-Kilgore Automotive talking to us about some car care, just some basic information. An overnight low again in the teens, 17. Wednesday will be sunny. It's going to get a little bit higher on Wednesday with a high of 36. Mostly cloudy overnight Wednesday night with an overnight low around 26. Again, sunny skies today with a high of 28.
Car or truck not running right? Take it to Kilgore Automotive at 129 East Main Street, Princeton. Kilgore Automotive, where your care is more than just a car. Call 270-963-2853.
Here's your weekday schedule at the Capitol Cinema's Main Street in Princeton. In Cinema 1, The Rock stars in Fighting With My Family, PG-13 movie, the comedy with a little drama in it. Fighting With My Family, you got to understand the whole family is professional wrestlers. So you got The Rock, you got professional wrestling, what more? It shows Monday through Thursday in Cinema 1 at 6:30. Cinema 2, How to Train Your Dragon, The Laws of the Land of Dragons. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the official name of the movie. Same time, Monday through Thursday, 6:30. And in Cinema 3, What Men Want, rated R. This will be the last, Thursday will be the last showing of What Men Want, because we need to bring in Captain Marvel from the Disney folks. What Men Want, same times, Monday through Thursday, 6:30. That's your lineup. If you've forgotten all that, don't forget our 24-hour show info number, 365-7900.
This is Danny Patton with Farmers Bank and Trust Company. Our new Lyon County branch is now open. Come in and see us for the same friendly service and the names and faces you know and trust to provide you with all your banking needs. We're now ready to serve you at 28 Commerce Street in Eddyville. Open Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 4. Fridays, 8:30 to
Heater, a new propane range or cooktop, or a propane clothes dryer. You can even get a rebate for installing or replacing a water heater or your primary heating system. This great opportunity is made possible by the Kentucky Propane Education and Research Council, available to Kentucky residents only. There are specific guidelines and requirements, and funds are dispersed on a first-come, first-served basis. Contact Fortner Gas Princeton for details. 270-365-5545.
1580 103.3 WPKY. It is still cold out there, 13 right now, 8:51. We are joined here on Coffee Talk this morning by George Barber. We just talked to Glen Young about taking care of our cars. George Barber wants to talk to us about some fish. There's going to be a fish fry at the Knights of Columbus, yes?
Yes, we're going to start our annual Lenten fish fries. We'll start this Friday. And we'll be frying fish for 6 weeks on Friday. It's our major fundraiser for our charitable activities, and so we'll start with the first fish fries this Friday.
All right, and you do this every year?
We do this every year. We've been doing it for our council's been in existence this will be our 9th year, and so we've been doing it for the last 7 or 8 years, and it's kind of a Knights of Columbus tradition to do fish fries during Lent.
Yeah, no, you drive down the road and all over the place, doesn't matter where you drive to, you see signs for Knights of Columbus fish fry about this time of the year, don't you?
Yep, we'll be putting ours out here this week.
And traditionally it's done on Fridays.
It's done on Fridays. It's kind of a Lent, usually traditionally during Lent. And we're going to start with the first Friday in Lent, and we'll do for the next 6 Fridays. We don't do it on Good Friday. So we'll do from the first Friday of Lent through up until Good Friday.
Okay. Now, talk to us about the Knights of Columbus. Why is that tied into Lent?
Well, we're a Catholic men's organization, and our purpose is one to support the parish But one of our biggest efforts is to just do corporal works of mercy in our community, within our parish and our community. And the fish fries are usually our biggest fundraiser. We use that, and the money that we make from the fish fries, we've participate in a Coats for Kids program. We donated 24 coats to Caldwell County schools, Lyon County, and Dawson Springs schools. We donate and participate in the Happy Feet or Learning Feet. We've donated to money goes to the Special Olympics, and we also provide meals to seniors and shut-ins. We'll deliver some meals each Friday. We get a list from PACS and on people that they think would recommend that we deliver meals to. So it's part of our charitable charitable activities and our commitment to the corporal works of mercy.
Where is the Knights of Columbus located?
We have a council that we formed here in Princeton. Our parish in Princeton, St. Paul, is really kind of too small for a single council. So we've combined with Resurrection Parish in Dawson Springs, St. Mark in Edaville, and St. Paul in Princeton, those three Catholic churches, to form our council, which is Blessed Trinity Council. It's kind of unique with the Trinity, referring to the Trinity of the Gospel, and we have 3 cities and 3 parishes and 3 counties together. But and we formed about 8-9 years ago was when our council formed.
And where is it?
We meet every third Thursday, rotate between Princeton here at St. Paul, meeting at St. Paul, and Dawson Springs, meeting at Resurrection at Dawson Springs.
Okay, well, where's the fish fry going to be?
Now, the fish fry will be here in Princeton. It'll be in what used to be the Catholic school back behind the church. It's on 813 South Jefferson. There'll be signs out, and you can just pull in there. We're going to open at 3:30. We'll start offering meals at 3:30 and till 6 o'clock. So it's drive in, drive up, and we'll have somebody come out. We won't be in roller skates, but we'll come out to the car and take your order and have it ready for you.
Okay, so then this is not an eat-in thing. This is a to-go thing.
It's not an eat-in thing. It's a to-go thing. We'll have 4 different options really. We'll have a fish meal, a shrimp meal. The fish and shrimp meals will be $10. That's going to include tax. Until we get a change in the state laws, the charitable organizations have to charge sales tax also. So it'll be it's $10 including tax, not instead of plus tax. So we raised it a little bit to cover the tax and everything. We'll have 2 pieces of fish and French fries, hush puppies, white beans and slaw, or shrimp as an option for a $10 meal. Then we've also offered, we did this last year and it went pretty good, so we're doing it again, is fish or shrimp po' boys with a sandwich, and we have French fries with that, and that's $6 for the po' boy with the French fries.
Okay, so no drinks or desserts?
No drinks or desserts, no.
Okay. Now, the question I was going to ask has left my head.
And all of this, like I say, this is our major fundraiser, and all of this will go to charitable activities throughout the county. We also do some things with Bright Life, like I said, Special Olympics, and so it's money that goes back into the county.
Excellent. I remember my question. What type of fish?
We're just using. It's not a catfish, but it's a basic fish fillets that most of the restaurants around here have. I'm not sure exactly what the name of the fish type is, but it's a fish that everybody will be familiar with. Same thing we've been using for the last few years.
Okay. All right, George. What else can you tell us about the fish fry or the Knights of Columbus? What other information would you like us to know? Well,
I'm just going to say and share that the fish fries is, like I say, our fundraiser, and it's also a chance for us to kind of get together. We do some things that with that as part of our parish activities and such, that we'll have some activities after the fish fries that are just for the parish. It's basically to help our Knights and to help our community. We've got a number of activities that we do. I think we were looking at this, and we've put as the council, surprisingly, close to I think it was $30,000 back into the, no, close to $40,000 back into the community. Now that includes, we do a big concert out at Lake Bashir, pro-life concert, which brought us in about $15,000 last year. So the Knights are, our real purpose is to support the community, do the things that we can, talk about, corporal works of mercy, feed the hungry, clothe the poor, give drink to the thirsty, and those kinds of things is really kind of what we do. And we're not, denominational as far as who we help charity wise. Any organization or any group that that we see in our community that needs help and can do help. We're also working on some programs to help folks in need with other things that they may need on repairs and things on such. So that's really basically our purpose, just to get together as a group of men who want to do I guess you'd say things good for the community and help our community, and do it in a prayerful, thoughtful way.
Now, how well has the fish fry gone over as far as fundraisers?
It usually goes over real well. We make probably we make clear $3,000 or $4,000, I guess you'd say, and on a good year. We've done some programs. One year with our fish fries, we had helped a young lady who was fighting cancer, and we donated to her being able to drive back and forth and help take care of that, and that was one of the big years. Like I say, with and most of that money all gets spent. We spent that with a couple of donors. We put close to $1,500 in with the coats this year. We donate both to Hopkins County and to the Caldwell County Happy Feet organizations, and both the Olympics, Special Olympics in both counties, and such as that. So we really appreciate the community's help. That's the great thing about it is we'll sell 100 or better fish meals and such at each one, and it's really because the community understands what we're doing and appreciates and supports our activities. Because without that, we certainly by no means would be able to do what we do, and that's I think the thing that we find very, very motivating and rewarding. The fact that the folks here really kind of recognize what we're doing and why we're doing it, and are very glad to come by and enjoy some fish and shrimp and have a good meal. Keep you out of the kitchen for one night a week.
That's right. Every Friday you don't have to cook, because you can go
that's right.
buy your fish.
And if anybody wants to, if they've got a big order, they can give us a call. You can call me at 270-625-0269, and we'll have them ready for you if you want. If there's somebody like a big order that wants to have for their organization or is having a meeting and would like for us to, we can set that up, and we can do that, and be more than glad to. For anybody that that gives us a call. Otherwise, we've got enough where it's we cook enough ahead where we cook, where it still stays good and warm and stays crisp and warm, but you don't have to wait in line a long time to for us to be able to get the meal together for you.
All right, George Barber, Knights of Columbus, fish fry starting this Friday from 3 to 6:30.
3:30 to 6.
3:30 to, I had the right number.
Yeah, we got the right amount of time. Yeah, we'll start at 3:30. We do that because some folks are coming home from school, coming home from, so they can drive by and stop by on their way home,
and then be in for the night.
That's right, and be finished for the day.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, George.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
1580 103.3 WPKY.
Serving Caldwell County since 1950. We're 1580 103.3 WPKY Princeton.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. At least 23 people are dead, and there are drones overhead and dog teams on the ground looking for anyone trapped in the rubble of a tornado strike in Alabama.
We've been talking with family members and residents in the area, trying to get a count of how many individuals that we're looking for.
Lee County, Alabama Sheriff Jay Jones. The House Judiciary Committee wants documents from more than 60 people associated with or formerly associated with President Trump.
New York Democrat Jerry Nadler heads up the committee, which would oversee a potential impeachment hearing.
Impeachment is a long way down the road. We don't have the facts yet.
Nadler told ABC's This Week that the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., is likely a target, along with Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. President Trump on Twitter calls all this presidential harassment by crazed Democrats at the highest level in the history of our country. This is Fox News.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
Well, we are going to have sunshine today, but the high is only going to get to 28. Overnight will be mostly clear with an overnight low dropping down to 15. 32 for your high tomorrow with sunny skies. Clear skies tomorrow night with an overnight low again in the teens, 17. Wednesday will be sunny. It's going to get a little bit higher on Wednesday with a high of 36. Mostly cloudy overnight Wednesday night with an overnight low around 26. Again, sunny skies today with a high of 28.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Big John's Barbecue.
Some say Hulu is the bacon of TV. But think about it. Bacon is so incredibly good, everyone's eating everything without bacon forever. And Hulu? Well, with tons of shows and movies, exclusive originals like The Handmaid's Tale,